What's going on, everyone? So, Dejounte Murray, Zach Lavine, those have been the two names that have just been heavily linked to the Lakers this entire, month and a half, 2 months leading into the trade deadline. Dejounte Murray seems to be the actual legs end of a potential trade, right? All signs are pointing to the Lakers eventually getting that done and landing Dejounte Murray. There are reports literally daily that are from multiple credible sources that are like, hey, no, this is a real thing. Like even Sam Amick came out yesterday and said hey, Dejounte Murray has legs. It's very likely going to happen, right? All the talks are the Lakers are just trying to facilitate and try to find a third team for D'Angelo Russell. But D'Angelo Russell's play recently has kind of thrown a wrench into things. So the Lakers have a lot of things that they have to weigh. As far as Zach Lavine goes, there are a lot of people that have came out recently and said basically Zach Lavine is a no-go. Right? The Lakers have multiple concerns. One is long-term salary, making $40 million. They think he's an excellent player. They think he's going to make an impact if he was traded. But at that price, they have their reservations, which completely understandable. And then also his injury history, right? Now, they're not really concerned that he's the suit. A lot of people are like, oh, he's this crazy injury-prone player. Right? He played 77 games last year. He's played 68 or something like that the year before. He's averaged basically 60. He's played more games the last 5 years than Dejounte Murray has. But Dejounte Murray's just on a much cheaper contract. And Zach Lavine has been hurt twice in the last 2 months. So Lakers have the reservations and are kind of hey, let's not make that happen. But it's not as dead as people think it is. It's kind of on life support, as it was put by Jovan Buha. So there was a interview and kind of a back and forth conversation between Jovan Buha as well as Michael Scotto. And they dove into the Dejounte Murray thing. Go check that out on As It Stands Lakers. I made an entire video over there about the Dejounte Murray aspect of it. But there were some interesting things said about Zach Lavine. So let's get into it. Buha says, I think it's on life support. I think going back to my initial reporting on this in mid-November, I reported that the Lakers had more interest in a potential DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso package because of their contract situation with DeMar on an expiring deal and Caruso having a very team-friendly contract. Alex is one that kind of got away for the Lakers. Also added, if Chicago got really desperate and lowered the price on Lavine and the Dejounte move fell through for whatever reason, perhaps the Lakers would revisit those talks. But I think for now, given Zach's injury status, them pivoting towards Dejounte or a smaller move, I think the Zach situation is pretty close to dead. So, look, I've been asked numerous times, live streams, comments, on, how do I feel about Zach Lavine's situation, right? It was Brian Windhorst said there's a 0% chance and all that stuff. And I just was like, I don't buy that. And look, I know a lot of people, I'm Team Lavine. Go get Zach Lavine. I think he'd have a huge impact. I would even love if the Lakers went and got Zach Lavine and Dejounte Murray. Go get both of them, right? Make it happen. Whatever you got to do, right? Imagine Dejounte Murray, Zach Lavine, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Whew. Hang on a second. Let me just soak that in. Obviously, the pieces have to fit. They have to make it work. Just because guys are put on paper doesn't mean it'll necessarily work. But that would be tough. And then even when LeBron leaves, you still have Dejounte Murray, Zach Lavine, and Anthony Davis with Jared Vanderbilt. Again, whew. But outside of the fantasy world, one of the things that I talked about and I highlighted and said, look, price is everything. If Chicago right now was like, hey, we'll just give you Zach Lavine, just match salaries, the Lakers might take the shot on that. But it's oh, we got to take Zach Lavine. We have to give up a bunch of players, and then they're going to want picks, and they're going to want all this other stuff. Why would we do that when we could just go get Dejounte Murray? Again, everything has a price, and that was always my sentiment when it came to Zach Lavine. It depends on the price, and you need to get other things, right? So if the Lakers could get, I still think if the Lakers could get Zach Lavine, Alex Caruso, and Andre Drummond, maybe throw in a Torrey Craig for fun, to me, I just think you go do that. You make that happen, right? You have Alex Caruso, Zach Lavine. You have Andre Drummond in a backup big man role. But would Chicago be willing to part with all those things? They don't really seem determined to trade Alex Caruso. Not just that, but Alex Caruso by himself would probably yield a first-round pick just because of how good of a player he is, how much of a fit he is. I'm not saying he'd be a lottery first, but he definitely would yield probably a late first, maybe middle of the pack first, or a heavily protected first, something like that. Not all firsts are treated equally, right? But again, if the price is, yeah, we'll trade you Zach Lavine, but we want a first. We basically want what it would cost for Dejounte Murray. Then the Lakers are looking at this and weighing it, going like, okay, we could get Zach Lavine or we could get Dejounte Murray. We wouldn't have to give up as many players to get Dejounte Murray. On top of that, we would get a guy that's cheaper, which gives us more future flexibility also. And we have more draft picks freeing up in the offseason. And on top of that, we could still make other moves this season if we wanted to. And on top of that, you get a guy that could still make a similar impact, right? I think the floor with Zach Lavine is higher than with Dejounte Murray. But look, if Dejounte Murray can get back to being San Antonio Dejounte Murray and continue to shoot 40% from three, the Lakers could be tough, right? So I understand why the Lakers are heavily leaning towards Dejounte Murray, and all signs are pointing to that's probably going to get done at some point, sooner rather than later, right? But again, it all boils down to what does Zach Lavine entail? The Lakers are going to go get Dejounte Murray first. If the Lakers get Dejounte Murray and they work that deal out, whatever, they find that third team for D'Lo, and all is right in the world, and Chicago gets desperate and really wants to move off of him, because look, there have been tons of reports that have said, like, look, Chicago basically, if push comes to shove, will just give him away. That they just want to kind of get off of his contract, get off of him. They don't want this spilling over into the new year, next season. They don't want this to, cause a rift, right? Zach Lavine's playing ball right now, but it's because he believes he's going to get traded. And there's concern that if he doesn't get traded, now he starts to just kind of get upset, throw a tantrum, and stops playing ball. And that's a concern. And Chicago has been playing much better basketball lately. And so Chicago's looking at it as like, well, we want to continue to improve. We need to figure out what we're going to do. And we want to get rid of the distraction that is Zach Lavine. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago hits up the Lakers at the trade deadline after, again, I don't see this happening until after the Dejounte Murray thing gets situated. But if the Lakers go and land Dejounte Murray and the Bulls are like, hey, let's work out Lavine and trade whatever you got to trade or whatever, and we'll just basically just give us a second round pick just to make us happy, I could see the Lakers doing it. I do. So I don't think the Lavine trade is completely dead. Is it unlikely? Absolutely. Right? But it always kind of was probably unlikely as soon as somebody else became available. When he was like the only guy available, it was like, okay, Lakers are probably going to go get him because they need that big impact guy. But now that the Lakers seem to really be in a position to get Dejounte Murray, now it's like, okay, now Zach Lavine makes less and less sense. I still really like the idea of Zach Lavine. I still think if you were to go and get one of, like if it was either Zach Lavine or Dejounte Murray, I would rather get Zach Lavine. If both guys, which it's not, but if both guys had the exact same salary, let's say, to me, it's no-brainer. You go get Zach Lavine because he's just going to be the better natural fit. And you know what you get from him, where Dejounte Murray is kind of a bit of a question mark. But again, I think it's very unlikely. I wanted to kind of touch on this, and I haven't really touched on this in a while, and there's been all these new reports and stuff, so kind of wanted to like, hey, here's speed running through all this. But what do you guys think? How do you feel? Do you guys want Zach Lavine? Do you want Dejounte Murray? Do you want both? Look, I would love to get both. I do have my concerns about all four of them fitting together, but if it does, you're probably the best team in the league. Again, Dejounte Murray, Zach Lavine, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And you could get away with Jared Vanderbilt easily in the starting unit because you'd have Dejounte Murray, Zach Lavine, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, who all three of those guys collectively could score, 30 points a game. So, or not collectively, but could each give you 30 points a game, right? I mean, collectively, those four alone could score over 100 points. So, I don't know. Time will tell. But anyway, again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, so let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.